If you follow my channel, you know I've been skeptical of Thermoblocks for years. But the first shots told me more than I expected. So I kept going, and this one changed my view. Here's why. My good impressions started with the packaging. High quality, on par with Philips or DeLonghi. The manual is clear and available in 11 languages, but the quick guide in English covered all my questions. Opening the box, on top of the basic accessories you would expect in this class, plastic tamper and scoop I won't use, pressurized baskets for single and double shots, a spouted Portafilter. There's also a needle to clean the steam nozzle, and a syringe-like tool to pump water and expeller bubbles that can stall the pump. That's a non-issue on several machines, and it's interesting that they included the fix. But what's even less common is the non-pressurized basket. I don't remember seeing that in sub $200 machines. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then there's this steam one with a good range of movement. That's one of the main complaints from Dedica users. They remove the Panarello, that external cylinder that adds foam instead of steaming properly, and sometimes mod the machine with a one from Ranchillo Silvia. This one comes ready. The pressure gauge is also a nice addition. Not common at this price point. The numbers are a bit small. I can read the 9 and 12 bar marks, but just barely. Most users will aim for the green zone. I would like bigger, clearer numbers. If you ever added a pressure gauge to your own machine, you know it's a pain. Finding the right range, unit, vibration rating, the right connectors, T, food grade high pressure hoses. I have a page on my site with all the parts for this, and even after buying everything, you don't always have space inside the machine. You end up with a giant gauge on top because the small one that met all the specs wasn't available. And then after all that, you realize that you bought the vertical, not the horizontal version. So it's a real pain. I made a lot of mistakes. But despite the small numbers, I'm happy to see a pressure gauge here. I don't know if it's calibrated, that's on my backlog to test. The water tank is a decent 1.3 liters. With all the flushes, I managed to get 9 or 10 espressos. The drip tray is small, like on a Dedica, which people also complain about. It holds 166 mils, but there's a flow to tell you when to empty it. I keep a pot nearby and swap quickly after brewing. Then it removes the frequency I need to empty the drip tray. When you power it on, there's a digital display showing the temperature when it's ready. It heats up in 31 seconds at 92 degrees. That's one of the real advantages of Thermoblocks. And I'll have to admit, after dialing in, there were days I was too lazy to preheat my Silvio. That's what I call my Silvio with Gajuino. And I just brewed with the H10B. Of course, it's not better than my Silvio. They're different machines for different purposes. Leave a comment if you want a comparison. But back to the controls. The temperature goes from 90 to 95 degrees. You can adjust it. There's also a cold brew option. I didn't test that. And you can change pre-infusion from 0 to 10 seconds. Another convenient feature, a shot timer. If your scale has one, you won't use it. But for everyone else, it's there. So for roughly the same price as a Dedica, you get more controls and accessories that actually matter. Let's address the main complaint about Thermoblocks: sour shots. My first test was grinding very fine to see if I could get bitterness. And yes, I can ruin a shot and get something very bitter. Then I ground coarser and I got the sour shot too. And that's exactly what I wanted to know first. If I can travel within that band, I can find the sweet spot not just for me, but for most people. Everyone has a different taste, so this can please the vast majority if properly dialed in. Not the hobbyists chasing a god shot, that's a different story for another video. But after those initial tests, I tried different temperatures, pre-infusion, ratios, grind sizes, And my best shots with an Ethiopian light roast and a Colombia decaf were at 92 degrees with 5 seconds pre-infusion, 14.5 to 15.5 grams in, 37 to 39 grams out in 20 to 25 seconds. If you prefer traditional espresso, you can go up to 30 seconds, but for me that's already over extracted. I measured the puck temperature for the deep dive video, but I didn't want to measure first. I wanted the same experience a non-nerd would have, no unfair advantage, and my purpose was to find out if I could pull a good shot from this thermoblock even with a light roast. And I did. I already mentioned this Team 1. No need to mod it, no Panarello to remove, good range of movement, ready to use. But there's one more thing I liked. After steaming, to bring the thermoblock back to brew temperature, you just open the steam valve to flush some water, and the machine stops the pump automatically when it hits brew temp. It's very convenient. And for Americanos or hot water for tea, just twist the knob, no extra button, and it makes sense. Open the valve in steam mode, you want steam. Open it in brew mode, you want hot water. Why add a third button? Very smart in my opinion. That said, there's still room to improve. I really miss a solenoid valve. You build muscle memory to stop brewing just before the target and swap the cup for a pot fast enough, but the dripping after you pull the cup is there. And a solenoid would fix this. I would empty the drip tray more often, for trade, but it would be great to have one. Second, an OPV. Limiting pressure when you grind too fine is less critical. You can open the steam valve to release pressure or install a dimmer, but an OPV would be cleaner and ideally it could be adjustable so you can run at 9 or 7 bar. I prefer 7, but more on that in another video. Both components, if designed from the start and produced at scale, would probably add $20 to $30 to the final price. Would you pay $30 more for an OPV and solenoid? Tell me in the comments. That's direct feedback for Hibrew. Maybe they launch a revised version, who knows? After dialing in, without any measurements on purpose to go through the same experience as a regular user, I put the thermocouple in, and the temperature curve is not what the display shows. That explains why some people get sour shots from this machine and others don't. But that's the next video. Subscribe if you don't want to miss it. And one more thing before you go, I'm receiving a lot of equipment for review. This one was sent to me by Hibrew, and as usual, they had no say in the script or conclusions. But I'm starting to run competitions, and winners will get some of this equipment. I'll cover shipping up to 30 euros. Import taxes and customs are on you. And I want to run these competitions every 3 months and after milestones like 10,000 subscribers. To increase your chances, memberships are now live. 3 tiers, starting at 99 cents a month. Entries are weighted by tier and by how long you've been a member. So joining now multiplies your chances. The channel stays exactly the same. If you're curious, the join button is right below and details in the description. Thanks for watching and ciao!